You know how destructive U.S. policy is to working families? Only 3 countries in the world fail to mandate guaranteed paid maternity leave for working mothers: Papua New Guinea, Oman, and the United States of America. MSNBC says the U.S. is among the worst in the world, if not literally dead last, in this and paid sick days. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Bill Whittle and Stephen Kruiser, sitting in for Stephen Green, who's on assignment. At least that's what Mrs. Green calls it. This week, the White House kicked off a PR campaign with a summit for working families aimed at pressuring Congress to act, or more likely, preparing us for the fact that the president won't wait for Congress to act, but will use executive orders to carry out his agenda. Now, men, the president and his friends in the media think that Americans would be clamoring for paid leave if only we knew that almost everyone else in the world enjoys it already. For example, over at the New Republic, Jonathan Cohn writes this: the Swedes get up to 16 months of paid leave after the birth of a newborn, extra tax credits to defray the cost of child rearing, plus access to regulated, subsidized daycare facilities that stay open from 6:30 in the morning until 6:30 at night. The Danes and the French benefit from similar arrangements. These programs are available to everybody, regardless of income, and the vast majority of working parents take advantage of them. Now, Stephen Kruiser, you're a dad. When you hear stuff like that, doesn't it make you feel like the United States is dragging its heels, or maybe its knuckles, when it comes to public policy for working families?
Gosh, we're just awful. If only we could be like Sweden, whose only contribution to the world is the occasional NHL player. One thing all of the countries that need to subsidize child rearing and provide so much daycare have in common is they're placing onerous tax burdens upon their citizens so both parents have to work all the time. That's what's been going on in the U.S. for like 20 or 30 years now. You know, back in the day, one parent could afford to stay at home. Now, when my daughter was a baby, I did not want to have other people raise her. I barely let her near her mother when she was young. And I was not going to put her in daycare. And we took a it was hard. I mean, because I freelanced then a lot just so she could stay home with us. And it wasn't easy, but it was doable. It was a choice we made. It was rather easy to do. And we are still a productive country. We want to be a productive country. We don't want to be France. You know, but comparing the United States to these little boutique countries in Europe is an apples and oranges comparison anyway. It makes no sense. Ease the tax burden on the people, maybe, but without, you know, just reduce what we have to pay in taxes. Stop making us pay for other things. Let us pay for our children.
Well, Bill Whittle, the president has clearly signaled that he won't wait for Republicans in the House to get done with their politically motivated investigations over the IRS, the NSA, Benghazi, and other, non-issues. Do Republicans risk getting bypassed by executive action? And what can they do to look more compassionate and get ahead of the president's working families agenda?
Wow. Well, let's just start with one thing. You mentioned Sweden has this incredible daycare for children, but one of the things that's most remarkable about Sweden and Denmark and Norway and Finland is they have this incredible health care for children, but they're not having any children. And neither is France, and neither is Italy, and neither in any of these socialist welfare cradle-to-grave states. Their replacement birth rate is their actual birth rate, rather, is far, far below the replacement rate. I mean, far below. Greece, I understand, will have half its population in 50 years. These welfare states are built on immigrant workers and paid for by large influxes of people who are coming into places like Sweden and working and changing the nature, utterly changing the culture of those societies. So the short form, Scott, is it's easy for a place like Sweden to offer, basically free health care for maternal leave for their kids when Sweden has, 6 kids a year. So there's that. We can talk, obviously, about this whole idea of compassion and so on. We can talk about whether or not America is different from other countries to the degree that we still believe that if you are allowed to take care of yourself, you should have the concomitant opportunities that come with that. It's exactly what Steve said earlier. We've managed to put 6 flags on the moon as a nation without providing free maternal care for our people, because generally speaking, as Steve said, in America, it used to be that our tax rate was low enough. This is something that you could afford. So ultimately, the question we need to be asking is whether or not we are obligated to pay for everybody else's stuff, because somebody has to pay for it. It's not free. It is never free. Nothing's free. And I think the one thing in this whole mix I would like to just point to very, very quickly is this. This president is so committed to lawlessness and rule by dictate. If he is basically saying, well, I can't wait for Congress to get over this triviality of looking into all of the fatalities, incompetence, failure, corruption in my record, and I'm just going to start issuing decrees to bring about laws that I could never pass through Congress. I've said this before, Scotty. If somebody issues laws by dictate, that person is a dictator. And the idea that the Republicans are going to let the idea of, look, we had Obamacare rammed down our throat by every single piece of constitutional and procedural chicanery in the books. And now the Republicans, instead of fighting this on the ground we should be fighting it on, which is the president does not have the right to dictate law, period. That's where we should be making this fight. But our party's too stupid to understand that because the people in our party in Washington don't have any principles.
What's this our party business?
Oh,
Anyway, the president's advisor, Valerie Jarrett, says that
Hey.
paid maternity leave is an investment for businesses that will produce not just happier employees, but a great return. Barack Obama himself said that when Malia was born in 1998, he took a month off to create what he called precious memories with her. Obama was an Illinois state senator at the time, so you'll have to ask the people of Illinois whether they received a great return on their investment in his precious memories. Though I wonder how the senator could actually vote present when he wasn't. Anyway, the question here is not whether paid maternity or paternity leave is a good idea, but whether your business should be compelled by government to offer it.
Right.
As with healthcare, education, and so many other realms, Barack Obama sees the plight of working families as another failure of the free enterprise system, one that he can fix without resorting to constitutional government. Frankly, if Republicans couldn't stop Obamacare, there's little hope that they'll stop this latest episode of Obama Knows Best. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Kruiser and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.